This is another installment of the Legacy Project of Aten. In this particular installment, we are speaking with Viscountess Riordan, a Mistress of the Laurel and an OGB. What is an OGB?
Order of the Golden Branch, which means I have been Bard of the Mists.
Oh, Bard of the Mist. So there's a lot of history we're going to cover. So, Your Excellency, please tell us, what do you remember of your very first event?
Well, the problem is there are 3 first events.
Okay, well, please elaborate. Please elaborate.
The very first interaction with the SCA was a demo, which I will talk more about on the demo question.
Okay.
During high school here in Aten.
Okay.
On Wall UA. The first real event that I went to was the College of St. Catherine's 20-year celebration. We can't go to the real one celebration, which was on the campus of the University of Arizona, and was not autocrated, but was effectively run by Mistress Dorothy Height, Dorothea of Carmarthen, and Halram. I also went to a crown tournament in there, which was definitely an event, but I wasn't really involved yet.
Okay.
The first seriously, okay, I'm really playing now, was Ducal Prize in fall of 1990, which would have been AS 24, 25.
So, is that where you got your first AOA? Or where you, well,
No.
do you have 2 AOAs?
No, I only have one.
Okay, because there are, unfortunately, there's those people who do get 2.
No,
So
I only have one.
so
And
tell
that
us-
was not the event that I got my AOA at because people didn't really know me yet. But that was the event that it was a camping event, 3 days. And that was the event that I, actually talked to some people who were not my friends that I was there with and discovered that, okay, this is cool, there's more going on here than just hitting people with sticks.
Okay. But, so what event, this camping event, this 3-day camping event, was that where you got your AOA, or where
No,
did you get your AOA?
I got my AOA 2 years later at a crown tournament, I think. I would actually have to look it up. Jade Shahina gave it to me.
Was that your first crown tournament?
No. My first crown tournament was actually before I went to Ducal Prize.
Oh, okay.
The first crown tournament was a June crown. I'm pretty sure it's a June crown, I looked it up. Where Colin Jarek, who had been Prince of the Mists a couple of years previously, came in 3rd, which actually makes it really hard to look it up, because 3rd, the other finalist gets the Commendables, so you can look that up on the awards given. On the other hand, the description of the event in the event copy in the West Kingdom History Project, which is kind of like this one, matches my memory of getting there and how the parking worked and what the site was like. And Colin was given the Mooking Great Club, which is one of the oldest awards in the entire SCA. And so I'm pretty sure that is, but that was my first crown tournament. And the people I was with, Colin was almost king, so.
And that was a West Crown?
That was a West Crown.
Okay. So,
I still consider myself more of a Westerner than anything else.
so you're a misplaced Westerner.
I'm also a misplaced Misty.
Okay, Mistress, have you ever autocrated or stewarded an event?
Yes. Having won Bard of the Mists, I was in charge of running the competition for my successor. And I think I pulled it off reasonably well. Certainly got a decent successor out of it.
Okay.
And it's a non-trivial event. It's a one-day feast, but it is a feast and it is a competition, and it's not like there's one round, there's 5 rounds.
So you say it was a bardic competition. Is
Yes.
it different bardic arts, or is it all vocal?
It's
it
the
like a-
job interview for being Bard of the Mists.
It sounds like Bardic Olympics.
It is.
Okay.
Generally they do the bardic in between the removes of the feast, except for the last one. So there's a piece, a period piece in a period style that presumably you have written. A thing called Bard's Choice, where the current bard picks a subject or a style or a whatever. Mine was a piece in a fixed form, touching on the subject of honor. And the person who was bard before me had chosen a piece in praise of a lady. So you get that a couple of months ahead. It's announced what that one's going to be. And then there's masterpiece, which is just bring out your best thing. And the final thing is 3 words out of a hat. You have 15 minutes to do a piece.
Wow.
Because it's a job interview. Because
Sure.
among other things, the Bard of the Mists gets to be told by their prince and princess, I need a piece by the end of court in praise of this person. And it is expected that the Bard will produce a piece in praise of the victor at both coronet tournaments.
Wow. So you've got to have some improv skills. That's very cool.
It really is a job interview. And I handed the feast off to people I knew would be able to feast. Make me the feast I wanted to have happen, and they did that for me. So.
All right. Let's move on to officer positions. Your very first officer position, what might that have been?
It was either arts and sciences for the province of the Mist. It was probably arts and sciences for the province of the Mist. I have also been, I was seneschal of the province of the Mist, and I was Greencloak Herald. All of that in the West. Greencloak Herald in the West is field and duty, so being in charge of all of the people who announce all of the fights. And here I have been abacus.
Okay. Let's move to a baronial investiture that was special to you.
Ivan and Yanka, because it finally made sense of what baronies worked like in the rest of the world.
How so? You say it was...
Because the West has principalities.
Okay. So, supersized baronies.
And they're
Okay.
not supersized baronies. But the way baronies are, because they do have some real differences.
Well, what's the... besides geopolitical sizes and structure, but what's the dynamic between the West principalities
Well, for one
and
thing,
our
you
baronies?
have to, you win. You have to, there's
Trial
a
by
court,
combat.
it's trial by combat, and it is just like Crown, only smaller. Sometimes. Most of the coronet tournaments are bigger than, well, certainly the first couple of Aten Crown tournaments I went to, which was kind of interesting. But you're up longer as a barony, you're voted in. The choosing and a certain amount of the administrivia is quite different. And in the West, baronies are mostly giant shires.
Okay.
There are barons, and there's a certain amount of ceremonial importance there, but the ecological niche is the but here, at any rate, the baronies fill more of that spot.
Okay.
It's not, the overlap isn't complete, but it's a lot more overlap than I thought it was.
So, but the investiture of Ivan and Yanka, how was that particularly special?
It showed, it was like, okay, this really is how this works.
Okay. So
And besides which, they had become friends of mine. So.
they're very good people. What about the first coronation you attended? Was that a Westie or Aden
I was
Belt?
undoubtedly a Western coronation, and I don't know. I don't remember.
Okay.
I could possibly work it out.
Well, with over 2 decades of history, there's some
I
stuff.
remember the first principality investiture I went to, which was Edwin and Amanda handing off to Alfred and Tyne.
So
the-
principalities, even though it's trial by
Principality.
combat, it's investiture, not a
It's-
coronation.
Well, yes, because you have to make the word smaller. And coroneting is a really awkward word.
Okay.
So you are invested, but it's just like a coronation with
Okay.
fealty and everything. Actually, that is one of the significant differences between even the emotional weight is very similar, but the actual princes and princesses hold the fealty of their people, and the barons and baronesses do not.
Wow. I had no idea of that additional substructure in there.
And it may be different by kingdom. Though I did see the investiture of the second prince and princess of Northshield, the stepping down of the first and the stepping up of the second, which was kind of cool because the second prince of Northshield was Con, sometimes known as the Bard King. And I sat there watching their third coronet tournament, because they held it on the same day, because this is the far north. And there was various nifty stuff going on, and I wrote a piece that I was then allowed to present at the end, and that was very cool. And so it was very cool as someone who had been known as the Bard Princess to be able to present a really cool piece to someone who's known as the Bard King. Wow. So that was a very significant event. The first coronation that really sticks in my mind was a 12th night. Because West Kingdom 12th night is the only indoor coronation. The others are outdoor.
In West Kingdom, are there still they do every 4 months?
There are 3 reigns a year. It doesn't quite work out every 4 months because they're not precisely equal.
Okay.
The coronations are 12th night, Beltane, and, well, Purgatorio, August. Late August. The crowns are October, March, and June.
A lot of international history there. So, Your Excellency, would you tell me about your personal heraldry? What inspired you for your personal heraldry?
Well, my arms are as originally registered, and I actually picked my name. It's kind of a funny story, and got started on my arms at that ducal prize because I realized if I was really going to do this, I should really do it. Perf Wavy, Azure and Argent, in Canton Triskel Argent. So it's a 3-armed spinny thing in the upper right-hand corner, and a wavy line in the middle with a blue sky and white water. White waves is the original. And now I have a blue rose in the lower left-hand corner because Ivan and Yanka augmented my arms with that, which I think is pretty cool.
How cool.
But I don't have and the whole blazonness changed slightly because they decided that putting things in Canton that way was not quite the appropriate heraldic way to do things. So it changed, and I didn't even notice it. Anyway, they are semi-canting arms. One of the derivations of the name Jennifer, of which Wander is a variant on, means white wave, Gwyn Hifa.
That's cool.
And the 3-armed spinny thing goes way back to, high school silly things. It's a three-armed galaxy, which is actually not able to exist in physics.
So it's self-conflicting. Very cool.
Well, it's canting.
Canting. So, can you tell us about a demo that you attended? Something significant?
Well, I was walking across the U of A, going from high school, which was Tucson High, to my dad's office, which was Stewart Observatory. And I'm walking along, and there on the mall of the U of A are a whole bunch of guys in, at that time, it was probably carpet armor, or largely carpet armor, and not very far from Freon can helms, because this would have been somewhere between like spring of 75 and sometime in 76 or 77, probably on the earlier end. And there was a person there with a little tiny nylon strung harp, singing a song out of Puck of Pook's Hill, though I didn't know that yet. And I was entranced. And so that is the demo that, I mean, I've been to any number of other demos over the years, but that was the first one. And that was, I mean, I sat in the lunchroom with the gamers and the geeks and the people doing chainmail. So, yes, I went to high school with Justin DuRock. He graduated a year before I did.
So, Your Excellency, in your history, have you ever attended, well, of course you have, what is your favorite memory of Estrella War?
I came to Estrella quite late because I didn't start going to, my first Estrella was in 2005. Once I came back here after 21 years in the West.
A self-imposed exile?
No, not exactly. And then hanging out, I mean, it's a nice, actually, going to the Outlands party a couple of years ago, when Garrick von Kupke was king of the Outlands, and I didn't know that, but he was the first prince when I was Bard of the Mists. He was not the prince that invested me, because that was Alfred of Carlisle. But the prince who was, because the Bard of the Mist is invested by the outgoing prince at investiture. So the incoming prince was Garrick. So I spent 6 months, as his Bard. And then I hadn't seen him for a while, except he was at my Laurel. He came to 30 Year, which is where I was laureled, in West Kingdom Court, not in Grand Court. Oh my God! But Garrick was king of Drachenwald at the time, and he'd come and he brought dirt from Hastings. Frederick of Holland, Duke Frederick of Holland, had arranged to bring dirt from the first site, from the backyard of the house that Diana and so forth were living in, the first party was held at. So you had old dirt and new dirt. I mean, you had both levels. It was very, very cool. And he was also doing this thing where he had these tunics with about 1 billion pearls. And when something cool happened, he would pull off a pearl and present it to the person who'd done the cool thing. And so he came to my laureling. I actually invited him. He was there, and it was very cool. And as a gift, on the occasion of my laureling, he gave me one of those pearls.
Cool.
And that pearl is pendant from the enameled laurel pendant that my friends got together and made for me. Which is not the one I'm wearing, because this is a nifty bead.
So, okay, if
So that's kind of, anyway, so,
Back to
Estrella. Ivan and Bianca and I and several other people are wandering around and, showing up at the Outlands party like you do. And his voice, and I'm looking at the King of Priests like, he looks familiar. It's like, Wander! He literally hadn't seen me for 10 years. So that was way fun. That was very, very fun.
And that was Australia 2005?
No. Because I didn't get out much in 2005. I mostly hung with, I think Fabian was king. No, this was like the first year we were back at Schnapp. So 5 years ago, 4 years ago, something like that.
Okay.
One could look it up.
Can you tell me about a feast that you enjoyed, whether it's food, ambiance, people, etc.? What was some particular feast that stands out in your memory?
Well, there's the Bard of the Mists that I won, which did have very good food. Though it was a little scrambled because the person who was running it, a whole bunch of arrangements fell through at the last minute, so a great many people had to scramble to make it come together. But everybody got fed. I don't have a super clear. I've been to a number of feasts that were very nice, but there were any number of feasts when I was princess. There was the Golden Rivers feasts where the high table got actual quail as one of the meat removes, which was very, very cool. And it was very, very tasty. Everybody else got half a Cornish game hen, which is also very good and tasty, and it was the same sauce and everything, but you're not necessarily going to try and buy 300 quail instead of 20. I think it was 24. It was a fairly large high table.
So
that was cool. There were some definite perks to being princess.
can you tell me about someone you met in the SCA that has now, sometime later down the road, has become very, very special?
An enormous number of my friends fall into that category.
Okay.
So,
no, that's true.
Ivan, Bianca, you, all sorts of people. Yes, most of my social, a very large chunk of my social circle is SCA.
Is there an award that you have received that is more special than the token that it represents? Maybe because of where it was presented or who presented it?
Well, my Queen's Grace from Meghan was certainly a surprise and is very meaningful.
That's Megan Walrick, who now resides in the Outlands?
No.
That's Cecilia.
Megan McAllister reigned with Belgard, Stonecleaver. And eventually, I think Jade eventually made her a duchess. Because Jade does that. No, Valgard and Megan reigned after Stefan and Niobe during the period of time that I was Princess of the Mists, which was also the period of time, which was the board meeting of January 1994, was when the bod effectively blew up.
Wait a second. Let's move back. You said this significant award was your Queen's Grace.
Yes, which is a very significant award just because of what it is.
But you received it while you were Princess of the Mist.
No. I received it shortly after I stepped down.
Oh,
I
okay.
was given it at June Crown
by
the Queen who the timeline is that you have spring coronet and March crown are usually within a week of each other, and they are usually crown then coronet, but not always. You have coronation on the first weekend in May, and you have investiture on usually the second weekend of May. So they have like the same length of time to get ready. But so Valgard and Megan were our king and queen. We were their prince and princess of the mists for a week. They stepped up. We stepped down the next weekend. But the actual significance here is that at the board meeting of January 1994 was when the board said, without giving any reason, and it went on for a while, that pay to play was going to be the thing, and we aren't going to tell you why we need this money. And it was very, very ugly, and very, very nasty. And people with crowns found themselves with a lot more to do in terms of, because one of the things that the crowns and the coronets and the barons and the baronesses and so the people with hats are focuses for, and people invest themselves in the SCA. I mean, why would we do all this? And so if you're up there with the crown or the coronet on your head, these people, I literally had people come up to me at fighter practice and like fall at my feet and grab me by the knees, sobbing into my lap because they were so upset.
For the pay-to-play thing.
Because for a while there, it was not uncertain that the SCA would not completely come apart and fall apart. And part of the reason it didn't is because there were, I don't know how many kingdoms there were at the time, it was like 12. There was a document somewhere that has the signatures of every king. I think there's one representative because he couldn't be there, saying, we don't care what the board does. We are not going to let this come apart. The known world will continue no matter what the board does. I mean, and you have people who like cannot be in the same room with each other without, but in this, they were on the same page, literally.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like that might be your most significant SCA memory as well.
It was formative, yes. And that is one of the reasons why I value my laurel. I mean, it is a major thing. But if I could only have one, and it is, in fact, why I prefer excellency to mistress. I also, the English history of the word mistress I know too much about, so it kind of is.
Okay.
But, you know, that's just a thing.
Okay.
But yes, it had kind of a funny story. The fellow who was the other finalist at the coronet lists, he did not expect to find himself in finals. And his girlfriend really didn't expect to find herself in finals. He was one of these fellows who had been going along, and he was decent. But he'd like leveled up, and he hadn't realized that yet until he finds himself facing Michael Sansever in the finals of Coronet Tournament. And through our whole reign, Theodora Groves would come up to me and say, I'm so glad you're princess. They would have done their best, but they didn't have the physical resources. Michael had been planning. He had money in the bank. He had the vacation saved up. He'd done the work. We had more of an alliance. It was not my boyfriend. We had a very well-working a lance reign. But basically, we were both grown-ups in a way that people with fewer years, I mean, I hadn't been all that active in the SCA all that long, but I've been active in fandom. I was not 21. I was 31. Actually, I was 34. So that 10 years can make a difference when you're dealing with more than just the show up at the event and smile and give awards, because we had to do more than that. But I think that Megan gave me that quad for holding it together.
Very cool. Right. Well, this has been another installment of the Atenvelt Legacy Project with
I can give you an Atenvelt award that's meaningful.
Well, sure, please, don't hesitate.
The first, I'd gone to Estrella, but I went to Estrella as a Westerner, and I hung out with all my Westie friends. But then I realized I really needed, I was living in my parents' house, in my childhood bedroom, because I hadn't found a full-time job yet, and stuff. And I realized I was going to go completely crazy if I didn't have something out of the house to focus on. So, since my membership had just transferred, I sent them a change of address. I got a really, truly south wind in my hands. Gosh, there's a costume collegian. Tucson. I can do that. That'll be fun. I will find out what it's like here. And that was actually where I met Ivan and Yanka and several other people that have. But I like going to court. So I'm there in court and I'm looking at the Queen. She looks really familiar. The name isn't quite pinging, but... So it turned out that I knew basically 2 people at this whole event actually knew who they were, did not meet them for the first time there. One of them was Hostini, because I've been friends with Kirakai for a really long time, and she wasn't actually at the event. And the other was the Queen, because she's from the West. It was Ed and Osa's first reign. But not very long after that, I think it was Ed's second reign, not his first reign, though I'd actually have to go and look on the thing. He gave me my pilgrim, which when he gave it to me, I didn't even know what it was. But it was explained. It's like, oh, thank you. That is very cool. Thank you. So that's an actual Atenvelt story.
Those are all great stories. Is there anything else significant that you'd like to share with us today?
Not that I can think of. I'm sure I will think of 16 things when I leave.
Well, if at any time, contact His Excellency, Master Raven, if there's more you'd like to share, and they can get with you and capture that as well. Maybe add it into this interview. And this has been another installment of the Atenvelt Legacy Project with our guest today, Viscountess Wanda Riordan, Mistress of the Laurel, Hero of Atenvelt, Legend of the West. Thank you for joining us.